What's going on, party people? Welcome to Let the Madness Begin. LTMB Live with your host, Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
My man.
Yo, you said party people. That reminded me of that song.
Party people! Whoop, there it is,
dog. Yo, if you probably under 26, probably don't know that song.
Maybe.
You might
know what?
it.
Actually, I seen it's on a Kids Bop, dog.
No. Oh yeah. You know what? Yeah, I did see that.
I saw that. Yeah, they did some G-rated. I mean, it was already kind of G-rated, but
like a little more kid-friendly
version of
yeah.
It was. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. My daughter liked it. I didn't like it. But that's what it is. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well on this evening.
Hope everybody had a good weekend.
That's right. Let's bring Facebook on board. Let's see here. All right.
Was Facebook in the house?
What's going on, Facebook? Welcome to the stream. Let the madness begin. LTMB Live. Thank you for being here with us today. On YouTube, what's up? D's with D's, Jenny Lynn, Jean, Stephanie. What's going on, everybody? Hope everything is working well. You can hear us and see us fine. Pedro what's up?
From Northwest Georgia.
GA in the house.
What's up? Not
too far from here. But yeah, it was an eventful weekend. I'm sure a lot of people saw the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people did. There were some people that were boycotting it, but
yeah,
I mean, I like the outcome.
Oh yeah, I definitely like.
Honestly, I just wanted to see the Patriots get beat. I just
yeah, I have no affinity for the Patriots. If anybody's been watching for a time now, at least me, I'm a Jets fan.
So you have a special relationship.
I have a special relationship, with the Patriots.
Special relationship as far as rivalries go.
Yeah, it's a negative, very negative relationship me and the Patriots have. all actually all New England sports. And I remember you. See, I think I still got a beef with you, man. Because in Philly, you made me carry around a Boston Red Sox umbrella.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, when we went to Philly for the DNC, the convention, the Democratic National Convention. Yeah, it was raining.
Yeah, you had two.
I had two umbrellas in the car. So naturally, I just so happened to just pick a generic umbrella for myself. I didn't realize that the other umbrella was a Boston Red Sox umbrella.
Yeah, I noticed.
This mug is from New York.
Yeah, immediately I recognized it.
Hey, yo, this mug smelled it. He was like, wait a second. Something ain't right here.
Yeah, man.
This mug would probably rather get drenched than use that umbrella.
Yeah, almost. I put it up. I let the rain catch it, or I let the umbrella catch the rain. But I wasn't too happy about it. But I'm very glad about the outcome. It was a good game. It was an entertaining game. It wasn't the best game ever, but it was entertaining. So
I think it's more important to talk about like the elements that kind of present themselves during the showing of the game, like commercials, the aftermath, and people rioting, and maybe offer some commentary in regards to how we kind of perceive those things. Yeah,
so the commercials, of course, that's a big draw to the Super Bowl. A lot of people want to see the Super Bowl only for the commercials. Some people do. Probably the one that made I guess the one that got the best ratings is the NFL commercial with Eli Manning and Odell Beckham Jr. That
was whack.
Little tribute to what's the movie? Patrick Swayze movie.
Oh, the dance movie. Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. Yeah,
it was whack.
Whack.
I mean, speaking of dancing, I wish your boy Justin would have been a lot smoother, man. I know your boy's in his late 30s, but man, I remember him being a lot smoother, man. Like it just felt he lost some swag. Again, I know he's in his late 30s.
Yeah,
he's like in our generation.
It's like mid 30s, something like that.
I think he's born 81.
81. Okay, so
so he's like 36, 37, like whatever his birthday is. So I just thought he was a little bit stiff.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I was expecting a little bit more from the performance. It wasn't bad. A lot of people had a lot of negative things to say about it. It was just so-so.
But guess
what?
It
was so-so.
I don't care about the halftime show. I really don't.
True.
I never have.
True.
Even when Beyonce did, I was like, good. All right, great. But I didn't.
Yeah, we don't really pay attention.
I don't really pay
attention.
Yeah. I don't remember a halftime show that I did pay attention to the whole time. Not even when Bruno Mars did it. I was like, whatever. I don't care.
The little, I can't say it's little, but they put the print symbol around the town of Minneapolis.
Now everybody.
I mean, like that aspect of it. That was pretty. That probably took a lot to do that with the lighting, and everybody was getting all bent out of shape because they thought it was going to be hologram.
Right. Honestly, I thought they did that purposefully so people would tune in. I think that was put out there purposefully so people would tune in.
But they shut that down.
They shut that. Yeah, it was just a projection, and I think that's apparently Prince's hometown, so it was a tribute, and it was like, so whatever. Like I said.
It was all right. I don't care. Yeah, it was all right.
Big deal.
But probably the most negative aspect of the Super Bowl or of the Super Bowl commercials came. I think it was in the second quarter. The Dodge Ram ad. So Dodge decided to take the words of Martin Luther King, a speech that he had given 50 years ago to the day, February 4th, 50 years ago, and they placed that on their ad. You could hear Dr. King speaking, and during him speaking, you could see a lot of different images of people working. You had some I believe you got some hospital workers, firefighters, construction workers, just people working, like some manual labor. And this was we have some of the words that were on the ad. So Martin Luther King could be heard saying, If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing that I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know what Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. Okay. So then at the end of the ad, you saw the caption, built to serve.
Built to serve.
Yeah, that's their slogan.
So when Martin Luther King was talking about serving and service, did it have anything to do with like trucks? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did it mainly have to do with? It had to do with being a public servant.
Yeah,
it had to be with kind of like establishing a person establishing themselves that I guess looks out for the best interest of the community or the country or wherever. You see what I'm saying? So that's the kind of serve he was talking about.
Yeah, he's talking about being an individual serving others.
Serving people.
Yeah, for the betterment of other people.
So I see the analogy. So Dodge trucks serve people in the same way, right?
Let's see, a truck is an inanimate object.
But it does things. Like it carries things from point A to point B, people, materials. It serves people. Lumber, wood, right? Boats.
But is it only specifically a Dodge truck that can do that? Can't a Ford truck do that? Can't a Nissan truck do that?
No Chevy, Chevy, Mazda, none of them.
Nissan, Toyota,
no.
It has to be a
Dodge.
So that's what Dr. King was talking about. That's what 50 years ago.
50 years ago, he was thinking ahead of time.
This was a bad look. It was a bad look from the jump. The
executives of Dodge probably thought they knocked it out of the park.
You know they did. It just rang so hollow because if you know who Martin Luther King Jr. was, he was somebody that was against capitalism. I believe it was in a 1967 speech. He said something like, he compared the evils of capitalism to the evils of militarism and the evils of racism. So this wasn't a person who I believe would be happy about his words being used to sell a truck.
Yeah, he believed that multinational corporations served as a roadblock to not just, economic equality, but racial equality as well. You know what I'm saying? But see, these commercials don't really have to be that good. They just have to like find an angle to appeal to people. You know what I'm saying? Or to relate to people. And what's the best way to relate to people? And to use the iconography.
Yeah, iconic, legendary figure
of Martin Luther King
that everybody reveres in 2018.
Not just the iconography as far as like the visuals and his image, but his words too, to sell their product. I mean, what a way to start off Black History Month.
Yeah, that is a way.
A corporation.
Yeah, a corporation. Using Martin Luther
the legacy that somebody else built
to promote capitalism
for their own gain,
right?
To make some of that money.
Now, what's more interesting about what Dodge did is that the same speech that they reference in their ad by Martin Luther King Jr. The same speech, he had some other things to say that I guess if you would think that if they read further or if they listened further to the speech, they may have said, you know what? This is a terrible idea.
It's basically,
we shouldn't use this speech.
It's essentially we're using the words of a man that contradicts like what we're about
in the same speech. So further down in the speech, a little bit later in the speech, this is what Martin Luther King Jr. had to say. And so we see it everywhere, this quest for recognition. And we overjoin really, that we think that we will find that recognition in. Now, the presence of this instinct explains why we are so often taken by advertisers. You know, those gentlemen of massive verbal persuasion. And they have a way of saying things to you that kind of gets you into buying. In order to be a man of distinction, you must drink this whiskey. In order to make your neighbors envious, you must drive this type of car. In order to be lovely, to love you, you must wear this kind of lipstick or this kind of perfume. And you know, before you know it, you're just buying that stuff. That's the way the advertisers do it.
Well,
this is the same speech now. This is the same speech that Dodge used a portion of it to sell trucks.
He did say car, though. He didn't say truck in the speech.
So
they off the hook. Not really.
So Martin Luther King Jr. is saying that beware of these advertisers.
Beware of these
capitalists.
These persuasive businessmen
Mm-hmm.
that kind of use images and use language to try to persuade you to buy their stuff.
That's it. That's as basic as it gets.
And then that's exactly what Dodge did. You mean you're going to tell me that they didn't read the rest of that speech? You know good and well.
Maybe they just got to the portion that they
wanted.
Liked. Yeah, like, you know what? We don't need to read anymore. Yeah, this is only a minute commercial.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Again, it's a bad look. It's a real bad look, and I think it's justified that they're getting negative feedback from this. I looked on their YouTube page. I believe there was over 2 million views, but the dislikes are far outpacing. Outpacing the likes. Yeah, it's I think it was like 11,000 dislikes, maybe like 3,000 likes, something like that. It was a bad look. It was a bad move by Dodge because it was a cheap trick,
because they basically turned him into a caricature for their own marketing.
Yes,
but but are we surprised though? Because that kind of follows a line that kind of has already been present in regard to how people see Martin Luther King anyway. He has been turned into a caricature politically. Commercially
to sell anything.
So I guess commercially, in regard to companies using his image, I'm not surprised, because we see it everywhere. We even see it in our education system. You see what I'm saying? So he's been used as a caricature in our education system. So I'm not really surprised he's been used in the same way. To a corporation.
They might as well have Ashton Kutcher out there or Will Ferrell. I mean, no difference.
Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, no difference.
Will Smith. No,
it was a cheap trick, man.
They're just using kind of essentially using him as an actor in their commercial, even though he's dead. Nowhere
at any time do I remember Martin Luther King Jr. Appearing in an advertisement just to sell something, and not just that, based on his words of what he wants to see America be.
Yeah, because it would have been contradictory.
Yes. Yeah, that's disgusting, man. Anyway, so after the Super Bowl, there were riots. After the Super Bowl,
is that what you're gonna call them?
That's what I'm gonna call them.
Okay.
Because people in the streets of Philadelphia, of course, they were very happy. They were trying to celebrate the win, the historic win, because the city of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles franchise, had never won a Super Bowl before. This was their first time. So people across the country, Philadelphia Eagles fans, were just overwhelmed with joy.
Yeah, joy.
Yeah,
and they were just very, let's say, I don't know, rambunctious.
They
were very rambunctious.
Yeah, they got to rambuncting and
rambuncting the traffic lights.
Oh yeah,
yo, I was like, I saw a clip, and I didn't it was I don't know how long the clip was, but out of nowhere, I think it went from left to right. But I saw Muggs carrying the doggone traffic light arm with the traffic light attached to it. I was like, first of all, how was that allowed to happen? Yep. Now, there were police that showed up later in riot gear and all that stuff, but that was after all of that destruction took place. I saw some another clip.
There were many clips.
No, I saw another clip where there was like a bunch of people standing on top of, I think it was awning of a hotel.
Yeah, and jumping down,
and then actually the awning caved.
Right,
the awning caved in.
Several storefronts were damaged. Vehicles were damaged. Police vehicles were damaged. It was chaos out there. It was chaos. There was a lot of damage. And like you said, you know, the police officers showed up, and there were several people that got arrested. I think the count that I saw was 34 people that were arrested.
34 people.
34 people.
Out of all that destruction and all those rioters, only 30 what?
34, I believe.
34 people got arrested. Also, one weird thing I saw was one person, I'm assuming it was a Philadelphia Eagles fan, that was so elated and just so much in joy for his team winning that the Joker ate, I think, horse shit. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, wow. But like, I wonder how many of these people who are out, you know, partying in the street, rioting in the street, destroying property, turning over cars, by the way. You forgot to mention that. Yeah. Turn over cars. Yeah, now, if you want to turn over your own car,
right.
That's
but
your
no, these
business.
were just parked cars.
Parked cars.
Not the owners of the vehicles. No, these were...
I wonder how many of these revelers, I wonder what a lot of them have to say about, let's say, protesting for, I don't know, like maybe a pipeline not going through, you know, somebody's water source, or what they have to say about people protesting, you know, police brutality or any kind of economic injustice, any cause
civil rights,
that's related to like civil liberties, civil rights, you know, minimum wage, anything like that, living wage. I wonder how many of those people will view protesters like that.
It seems like the attitude or the I guess how it's framed is very different, and it's been like that for years. You know, when you see people outside in the streets causing damage, causing chaos after a sports win,
which means nothing.
Which means nothing
in the long run of things.
They're described as people that are just getting carried away. They're celebrating. They may be drunk. You know, it's like they're just trying to make excuses for them. But the people that you're talking about, the people that might carry a Black Lives Matter
they're actually protesting for a cause. Now, you might not agree
protesting
with that.
To make America better. They're asking for a real cause.
You may not agree with that cause.
Yes.
But
they are framed as thugs, looters.
Yeah,
criminals,
and actually terrorists.
Yes,
because there's a lot of well, across the country, a lot of states are introducing legislation that will make protesting illegal. Yes. You might be able to face severe fines and jail time. You know what I'm saying, for just being a part of a protest.
The on Fox and Friends, I believe it was.
Yeah, you said that to me. Man.
Yeah, on Fox and Friends, they had some words about this. Well, they didn't call it rioting. One of the hosts, Steve Ducey, he called it their celebration went haywire. They were laughing about it. They were kind of having, you know, the female host. I forgot what her name is, but she was saying that. Yeah, Ainsley. Yeah, she was saying that. Well, you know, they're gonna have the day off tomorrow. You know, and that's a good thing. You know, the celebration is gonna be tomorrow, and you know, they'll have a day off of work. You know,
of the parade.
Yeah, for the parade and blah blah blah. And it's like they're not taking this seriously whatsoever. Like, businesses were damaged, people were arrested, property was stolen. Cars flipped over and damaged. It seems like
vandalism.
Yeah, it seems like the motivation of the people in the streets is what defines if it's rioting or not. Not like the damage that is actually caused. It's what's in your head,
and not like the reason why they're flooding the streets. So people flood the streets and destroy property because their football team won, not lost. There was nothing that was taken away from them.
Nope.
There's nothing about their livelihood that was in jeopardy. Nothing about their lives in general was made like dangerous by a Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. But yet, when you have Black Lives Matter protesting for law enforcement reform because their livelihood is being affected, or you have pipeline protesters being arrested because their livelihood could possibly be destroyed by pipelines going underneath their only water source, or you have people being arrested in Flint because their water is tainted. And you see what I'm saying? Like,
well,
it's
see,
like
there's another aspect to this that we have to bring up, though, because when you're talking about the people in North Dakota that were protesting the pipeline, those were certain kind of people.
Yeah, that's right.
Because see, the people in Bismarck who didn't want it, they were another kind of people.
They just snapped their fingers.
Yeah,
and
but see, they were mostly white people.
Yeah, and
right?
the earth shifted for them.
Exactly. Now, in the case of these riots that were in Philadelphia, if you look at the video footage, most of these people are white, right?
Correct.
Most of these people are white. And again, it's being framed as what? It's not rioting. It's just a celebration that went haywire. So again, it's the motivation. It's what got these people out in the streets and caused them to partake in this damaging property and looting and this and that. It's not going to be framed the same way as if I have a significant beef with the government for I guess not letting me have my civil liberties, not letting me have civil rights, doing something like police brutality, things like this, like some stuff that you hear all the time from certain people, like pitchforks, right? Mm-hmm. There's gonna be pitchforks in the streets if certain X happens. Well, for people of marginalized communities, I mean, that's been happening throughout the years. And so if they are actually taken to the streets and rioting, then like, why aren't you listening? Why aren't people listening?
Well, like you said, because this is something that's unimportant. This is a victory of a football team. It's really something that doesn't matter in the long run. So you can just write it right off. So it's actually not. But
doesn't the damage matter? Because when and like I said, like in Baltimore, when black people were out in the streets and cars were damaged or businesses were damaged, a lot of people had negative things to say, like, look, you're doing this to your own community. How stupid are you?
Mm-hmm. Where are the parents?
Right.
Where are the fathers? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But again, these people are in Philadelphia. This is their community. They're damaging their own community. But
over
hey,
something
pump the brakes.
Over
this isn't rioting.
Over things that are not really affecting their life. But I just thought about this like before the show, and I was because Philadelphia was considered the underdog, and this happens every year where there's a team that's the underdog, and for the most part, it seems like the majority of people who are watching the Super Bowl, even if they're not fans of the NFL or don't even watch football, what do? They pull for the underdog. Yeah. And I'm thinking, why do people pull for the underdog, especially in, I guess, situations and circumstances that don't matter in this society? It's a football game. There's really nothing about this that's going to affect your life. Probably only going to affect the lives of the football players and anybody connected to them. Maybe some people who work at the stadium. But in the long run, it's not going to greatly affect people's livelihoods. And I was thinking, like, why is it that we as a country are always pulling for the underdog in something that doesn't matter?
Trivial matters.
Yeah. And I don't, this may or may not be true, but I just thought about it for a little bit, and I concluded that maybe we pull for the underdog in something that doesn't matter because we know that the underdog loses in the things that do matter in everyday American life. For the most part, the underdog doesn't matter. The underdog always gets screwed. The underdog always gets disenfranchised. The underdog always kind of gets the short end of the stick. So we then have to kind of project it onto something else that doesn't matter, because all the areas in life that it does matter on, we feel powerless to try to fight it. So we try to like funnel that kind of attitude and notions into things that don't matter.
But then if what you're talking about pertaining to things that do matter, why isn't the attitude the same? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't it be a mirror kind of?
Because it's psychological displacement. Because you feel powerful.
So instead of actually advocating for the underdog in real life in places where it matters, instead in real life, what people do is they advocate for big business. the tax cut reform. You know, hey, it's gonna be very good for these billionaires and for these
or just because it's actually
multinational companies,
or just simply because it's easier to do that. I think it's because it's easier. I think it's a little bit of denial on the part of Americans that we do live in a dysfunctional system, and obviously the easier thing to do is to kind of focus your energy on like football, like let's root for the underdog. You know what I'm saying? Rather than actually
because you don't really have to involve yourself.
You don't have to. You really don't.
It's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah. You don't have to get your pitchfork out.
You don't have to get your pitchforks out, man.
Interesting, man. All right. That's the first part of the show. We're going to leave it there for Facebook. We're going to continue this show on YouTube. So if you want to see the rest of the show, there's the link in the description. All you got to do is click that and you'll be taken to the rest of the show. We have a lot more to discuss. We're going to be talking about we're going to get right to the GOP memo and the fallout from that, what it means, what it doesn't mean, what's coming next. We're going to be talking about what else? There's a sheriff that seemingly ordered the killing of a man because he didn't want patrol cars damaged. We're going to be talking about that. That was in Tennessee. We're going to talk about Pennsylvania gerrymandering, and the U.S. Supreme Court has they voiced their opinion on it, and we're going to be talking about what that means for Pennsylvania.
We're going to talk about, did you mention the kind of the Me Too advancement?
Yes, in the in the the Capitol. Because we talked about weeks before how it's a very exhausting and ridiculous process to come forward with a claim of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct by somebody in government. So now they're trying to kind of clean that process up, make it easier,
more streamlined.
And actually, better for the victim, better for the person that's actually claiming that something something happened, something improper happened to him. So like I said, we have a lot to get to. So just click the link and you'll be taken to the show. Thank you for being here. All right. So as we said, the next story that we're going to get to is the GOP memo. So on Friday, the GOP memo, the 4-page memo was released. And we talked about it last week. We didn't know when it was going to get released. We thought maybe soon after the State of the Union, maybe the next day, but that didn't happen. And on Thursday we went on, it still hadn't happened. But Friday, they actually released it. So was it as cataclysmic as GOP members of the Senate were saying it was? Was it as devastating? Was it to the level of Watergate or even worse?
No, and it was not. And the effect that it had was people got built up. They built people's, I guess, anticipation up. They built people's expectations up. And then when it finally got here, I think people took that expectations and projected it into the memo, right? And then only validated what they already thought the memo was going to, I guess, reveal, even though the memo didn't reveal that. So it's like people got their hopes up for it. And then instead of just saying, oh, damn, it really didn't reveal anything. Right. All they did was take what they assumed the memo was going to reveal and apply it to the memo, even though the memo didn't reveal any of those things.
So now we understand why before the memo was released, there were several Republicans saying that, oh, hold on,
let's calm down
on what this may mean if it comes out, but like I said, before that, when we first heard about it, it was like the sky is falling. This is the Kremlin. Can't believe that this is the United States of America. Bigger than Watergate.
Even
all of that.
Mr. Benghazi himself, straight Gowdy, was like,
pump the brakes.
We may need to pump the brakes.
Right.
And it turns out that your boy Devin Nunes didn't even read the original memo.
Well, he didn't read he didn't read the details.
The details
of the FISA warrant.
That's what I'm saying.
He didn't read
not the memo, but the warrant.
Yeah, he. I guess he instructed Trey Gowdy to go in there, read the information, and then take notes. Come back, and then they would discuss it. And then that's how the memo was actually compiled. Secondhand knowledge, yes.
So,
but he trusts Gowdy.
Devin Nunes, his entire premise, his entire political stake was based on second-hand knowledge.
Yes.
His entire promotion of this memo, this smoking gun,
yes,
something that was going to be a death blow, something that was going to shake up the investigation, was second-hand.
And for some, they thought that this was going to lead to, I don't know, Hillary Clinton in chains, Obama in chains, stuff like that. But okay, so the central theme, the central thesis of like this 4-page memo was that the dossier, without the dossier, the warrant on Carter Page would not have been obtained, and that information about the dossier was not provided to the judge,
to the FISA court. It's like 4 of them, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's two-pronged, and so that, like I said, that's the central theme. Like that's where all of the meat of it is that the judges were not provided with the information that it was based on, like political opposition research, and that without this political opposition research, the warrant wouldn't have been obtained. Now,
okay, let's just say, like, yes, it was paid for by, through the DNC.
Yeah, for Hillary Clinton. For her campaign.
Through one of the bundling firms.
Yes.
Because it wasn't paid for directly by the DNC. That's not, right. But it was paid for by an investment firm that DNC is connected to. But what fact are people leaving out? Like, what main fact are people leaving out? And I think they're doing it purposefully.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, but there's a couple. See, I don't know. The main one maybe could be that it wasn't started.
Got it. You already got it.
It wasn't started by Hillary Clinton.
Most of it wasn't started by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, right. Or the company that they paid,
right,
or the company that they used to pay for it.
It was actually started
by RNC opposition research,
Republican opposition research,
which is actually normal, because during the primary, because the opposition is your own party.
Exactly.
So what happens is, hey, we're not going to use this. We lost.
Right.
So it's typical.
But see,
the other party, the opposition party in the general election wants that same research.
But see, that is not what is being discussed, especially on like Fox News. On all corporate news networks, you don't hear that. All you're hearing is that Hillary Clinton paid for this political opposition research, but it started. But
wait a second,
Republicans.
Did like Hillary Clinton herself like sit outside of Trump's apartment?
So that's number 2.
Right.
See, that's the important fact. Number 2, it didn't start with Democrats, and 2, Hillary Clinton did not write it. The DNC did not write it. So at this point, like, does it really matter who wrote it?
It actually doesn't. And to me, it actually doesn't. It doesn't matter who wrote it. It doesn't matter who gathered the information. It only matters whether the information is true. It doesn't matter. Actually, it does not matter whether it's from or not from, because it's not actually from the opposition party.
Right.
It's from somebody that an investigator, the opposition party hired. Actually, it wasn't opposition party, just opposition parties in regard to individuals, because that includes Republicans too.
It's like hiring an investigator.
It's like hiring an investigator. And let's just say that, like, you get some information from a rival gang, and the information turns out to be true, right? Say some investigators get some information from a rival gang.
Right.
The information turns out to be true. They present it to a judge. Is the judge going to be like, even though this seems like credible information, even though you did your due diligence, since it came from a rival gang, I'm not going to grant the warrant. That's just not how it happens.
No. And okay, but let's get, like I said, let's get to that central theme of the memo. Because of this memo, Nunes claims that the judges were not
tricked.
told.
They were tricked.
Yeah, they were not told about the dossier being part of the reasoning
opposition research
of obtaining the warrant,
which is quite normal.
Now, Devin Nunes, he appeared on Fox News and said and repeated this claim. He said that no, the judges were not told. And I mean, look, it was like they were, I guess, just trying to hide this information, and without it, they wouldn't have got the warrant. Now, a few days later, Devin Nunes appeared on Fox again. He was on Fox and Friends this time, and he kind of had to amend that statement. So this is what Devin Nunes said on Fox News later. He said, a footnote saying something may be political is a far cry from letting the American people know that the Democrats in the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for dirt that the FBI then used to get a warrant on an American citizen to spy on another campaign. Now, what he is saying is that he had to mention, or he had to admit, that there actually was a footnote saying or alerting the judges that this was part of political opposition research, something that he did not admit prior to that.
And if during political opposition research there's things that are uncovered that point to some illegal activity,
right,
by law they have to turn that over. So what they're doing is they're trying to make something like pretty normal seem unprecedented.
Yes,
and they're trying to make it like there was this like I guess push from the jump. We're going to hire this person to find illegal stuff, and guess what? That's what they're supposed to do. You're running against this person.
Yes,
like you're running against this person for president. Now, like, you can use whatever you want as a strategy to run a campaign against somebody, and if there's supposedly some illegal stuff that is uncovered, you turn that over to the authorities, and the authorities will use that information to seek warrants. This is not extraordinary.
Yeah.
This is not unprecedented.
And the guy that we're talking about, Carter Page. See, the warrant was obtained for Carter Page. Now, he had been tracked since 2013. Okay, so this wasn't something new.
Wait.
That was way before Trump decided to run for president, I believe, or before he had put that out in public that he was running for president.
So what are you saying? You're saying that if like the FBI or some investigative body is following a person, they're going to follow that person
wherever they go,
and whatever organization
right,
they choose to link up.
Carter Page became an advisor to the Trump campaign, so of course they would then start looking into his involvement with the Trump campaign.
This is not rocket science.
No, it's not. It's not. What's funny is that because of all of this, you know, for the Republicans' efforts to seemingly demonize the FBI and the DOJ, it seems like the Republican Party is now the party. Well, they are no longer the party of cops. Seems like it. You know how the Republicans are always propping up cops and saying like, look, you know, we need to support our cops.
For law enforcement. Support the rule of law.
Exactly. Now you're demonizing the FBI and the DOJ.
Like, I think there's something that definitely needs to be said. Like, yes, like what they're doing is they're just using the anxiety, the fear, the concern people have for the surveillance state.
Yes.
But they're just doing that to protect themselves from valid scrutiny and an investigation.
Right.
Like, the concern that people have is very legit. But Trump and co are using it for their own narrow political agenda. Not because they care about, you know, I guess civil liberties or surveillance, because if they did, they would just defund and shut down the FBI, the NSA, and everything else, Homeland Security. They just shut all that down, but they're not. That's because they're not being genuine. And what did Paul Ryan said? It needs to be cleansed from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, he said that.
But wait a second. Didn't the House just vote overwhelmingly to expand the surveillance state?
They did. Also, and we talked about this, but you remember Inauguration Day. You remember the effort to oppose Donald Trump on that day.
That website?
The website where people went to because they were organizing, opposing Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The DOJ wanted to get all the people. They wanted the IP addresses for everyone that visited this website.
Just visited the website.
Just visited. That didn't actually. That doesn't mean that they actually were actually involved in
the protests or riots.
Protesting, rioting at the inauguration, anything like that. No, these are people that just visited. It was like 1.4 million addresses. So that's like spying on people, right? So, that's like illegally obtaining information that you should not have just because these people have a negative opinion of Donald Trump.
So people have this idea that this administration, this particular administration, who is guilty of that, is somehow it cares about their surveillance state, somehow cares about civil liberties, is going to weed out the evildoers in the FBI. Like how do you sound? Like, and if they do, who are they going to replace them with? Let's just say that happens. You think they're going to replace them with like unbiased personnel?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like well-meaning unbiased personnel? Like, really?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, Donald Trump, because of this memo, he feels, and he has stated that he said he is, quote, totally vindicated as it concerns the Russia investigation. Now, it seems like the only people that are agreeing with that viewpoint are people like Sean Hannity and people like Jesse Waters, those clowns.
People who have actually no access to anything.
Right. But Paul Ryan was asked the same question and he ignored it. He just switched the subject. The Fox News judicial analyst, Judge what's his name?
Neapolitano or something?
Yeah.
Neapolitano.
Whatever his name is. He agrees too. Well, he said that it did not vindicate Donald Trump. So it seems like this investigation, of course, is going to proceed. And I believe Paul Ryan said that as well too, maybe a little bit before he refused to answer the question if it did vindicate Trump. He said that the investigation is going to continue. This should not get in the way of Mueller's investigation.
They just don't want to make themselves look like they're obstructing justice. That's why Devin Nunes is like, well, I didn't really read it. I just had Trey Gowdy read it. So now I don't look like I was doctoring anything or purposely misrepresenting a document. So now I have plausible deniability. Now Trey Gowdy has plausible deniability too. Now that's why he's backtracking, even though he was one of the people who was hyping up this memo.
Right.
Like, I think, again, we don't need to get caught up in a wash. Yeah. Because people have, like, issues with the surveillance state, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Homeland. Like, don't get caught up in a wash. Not this time. Right. Like, there's no doubt that these institutions have exploited the public trust. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't automatically mean that every single person that gets caught in the crosshairs is being railroaded and they should be protected. You know what I'm saying? Like there needs to be serious law enforcement reform, right? And we talk about that all the time. But what if like a corrupt crime family that's has a history of like, bribing politicians and screwing people says they want law enforcement reform too? Like, their idea of what needs to be reformed is going to be different. Their vested interest in why that institution needs to be reformed is very different from the common person's vested interest in why that institution needs to be reformed. It's not going to be the same. Then people are like mincing everything. People are conflating, this issue. You know what I'm saying?
So what's coming next may be the Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee, their memo. So beforehand, their memo was not allowed to get out. The Republicans on the House committee said, no, we're not going to declassify this information. We don't want this to get out, right? Now they voted unanimously to release the memo. So now Trump has, I believe, 4 more days now. I think he had 5 days. This was yesterday, I believe. So he has 4 days now to decide if he's going to declassify it and let it come out.
So basically, probably the main reason that they wanted this version to come out was kind of to force his hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, his hand's going to be forced even without this, because your boy Mueller, sorry, wants an interview.
Yes, Mueller wants an interview, and we've been hearing that for weeks now. And Trump, weeks ago, said, "Yeah, sure, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to sit down with them." Now, after that, there was like some walking back of that comment, and there have been, I don't know if I've heard any Republicans saying that this is a good idea. I don't think I've heard anyone. Scaramucci is saying no, bad idea. The same judge, Napolitano, I know I busted that up, but he said he agrees because he feels that Trump may get tripped up during the interview because, of course, Mueller knows way more about this investigation than Trump does. Exactly. He doesn't know where it's going to go either.
Nobody knows what Mueller knows. Nobody knows what he knows.
Right.
So you don't know. Again, you go
Trump is over there lying.
You're going into it blind. There's no way you can prepare for an interview like this because essentially you're going in blind. Well,
there's one way you can prepare. You tell the truth. That's one way.
You do know what I mean by prepare. When I said prepare, I didn't mean like tell the truth. Yeah. I mean cover yourself.
Yeah, cover yourself.
That's what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about the truth because I know, we know that the truth has been pretty hard to come by with Trump and most people in his administration. So, and he's not allowed to have a written. It's not going to be something where Mueller asks questions and he gets back to him with some written stuff.
Yes, no, this will be a sit-down interview.
I think his lawyer can be
live
with him.
interview.
I think his lawyer can be with him, but that's about it.
So yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. But there's been some more word on what Mueller might be investigating too. Didn't we just see that Mueller might be investigating the election results?
Oh yeah, in Wisconsin,
Michigan?
what's the other state? Wisconsin and Michigan, right. Because they're trying to see if maybe voter data was turned over. Right. Like, so basically
to the Russians.
Yeah. So basically certain people in certain areas can be targeted. Now, I personally don't care if some like foreign entities just bought some ads and try to troll us.
Yeah, that's
fine. If they did that on their own,
we've said before that did not lead to Hillary Clinton losing. Sorry,
if they did that on their own, whatever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't care about that.
I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it had much of an effect, but if they did that on their own, whatever. That is the lightest form of, I guess you would call it cyber warfare.
Yes.
That's very G-rated.
That's weak sauce.
Weak sauce.
Straight up.
Yes. So, but if anybody of any campaign actually turned over voter data
that they would have had,
that's a different story.
Yeah.
That's a different story, and that's an angle that really hasn't been talked about at all.
Because we wouldn't know anything
about that.
So
if that's the case,
like I said,
there's definitely some improprieties going on there. Voter data was turned over.
The investigation continues, man. So, like I said, we will see where it goes, where it ends, if Trump actually does sit down for an interview. It seems like it's a bad idea, is what Trump's confidence are telling him. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll just see where this goes. Let's see. All right, let's get to the gerrymandering. Okay, so we spoke a couple weeks ago about gerrymandering in a few different states, and one of the states was Pennsylvania. And if you remember, the Pennsylvania 7th district, we showed you a picture of it, and this was the picture right here. And it's referred to as Goofy Kicking Donald because it's so ridiculous. The diagram. I mean, how do you draw that map? That's a clear case of gerrymandering. And for anybody that wasn't here before, doesn't know too much about gerrymandering is simply the process of drawing congressional lines to benefit a political party.
Yeah, it's like they concentrate voters purposely in a certain area, so a politician has a massive upper hand
or a political party has a massive
political
upper
party,
hand.
not just a politician, has a massive upper hand in securing their election.
Yeah, and in the case of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania has 18 districts, and in 2016, Republicans won 13 out of the 18 districts, even though it's pretty much a swing state.
The distribution of voters is pretty even.
It's
so
pretty
it doesn't
even.
make any sense.
It was slightly tilted more Republican, but it doesn't explain why 13 of the 18 districts went red. That's absolutely absurd.
But see, I guess historically, if you look at it over a long period of time, it makes sense as to why Republicans, I mean, Democrats and Republicans do it, but Republicans do it by far more. Right. And I see why they would do it, because the country is shifting. So if your power is shifting, you got to do anything that you can to consolidate certain districts, consolidate power in certain areas, so you don't lose those seats that you know is going to happen based on the country kind of shifting to a more progressive attitude.
So if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled the Republicans' actions unconstitutional, and they ordered them to redraw the congressional lines by February 9th. And that the governor, who's a Democrat, Governor, what's his name? I forgot his name now. But the governor of the state has until February 15th to submit those plans to the court. Now, if this does not happen, the court will do it for them. So when we talked about this, we said, well, this is a win. I mean, this looks like a win. We didn't know if the Republicans were actually going to appeal to the United States Supreme Court.
Well,
they did. They appealed to the United States Supreme Court. But in more good news, the U.S. Supreme Court said, we're not taking this case.
And I think one particular judge, he's like Alito, is the one who handles the emergency appeals for Pennsylvania.
Right.
And he straight smacked them down.
Smacked it down. I think and said that what the lower court ruled is what is going to happen.
Because essentially they are following the Constitution of their state.
That's correct.
And I think it's important to mention, Judge Alito is a part of what party?
That dark red party, Republican.
Republican. He was appointed by Bush.
He was.
So a fellow Republican smacked them down.
A fellow Republican.
A fellow Republican.
Yes.
So obviously the Republicans in the state of Pennsylvania, part of the legislature, are mad at the 5 judges in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, because it was like a 5-2.
It was a 5-2 decision.
Party lines.
Party lines. Yes.
So why ain't they mad at your boy Alito? Because he's the one who smacked it down.
Yeah.
They were expecting Alito to override.
Yes.
Essentially, what was a Democratic party decision.
See, and this is look. I commend Alito for smacking it down. Okay, I commend him for for doing that, because it does look like it's unconstitutional. Okay, what I can't stand is that we are always told that these justices are not political. All they're doing is following the law. Right?
Yeah, they're just exactly. They're impartial
judges, right? Following the law. This decision was a 5-2 decision. 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and they voted along party lines. How can that be?
So imagine if, let's say, 2 of the Democratic justices were Republican.
So this is the problem. But anyway, there are several Republicans in the Pennsylvania legislature that are horrified and are just incensed with this decision.
So the people whining
yes,
about whether the ruling of gerrymandering is unconstitutional are the elected officials who were voted in because of gerrymandering.
Yep. And like I said, they're not happy with this decision. One of them, Republican in the House of Delegates of Pennsylvania, his name is Chris Dush.
Wait.
Chris Dush.
Dush.
Yeah, Chris Dush. I've never heard that last name before. But yeah, Chris Dush.
Oh boy, I bet you he gets it. Dush bag. I know he gets it. Goodness.
But anyway, this is what he had to say. After the Supreme Court said, no way, no how, sorry, you're going to have to follow what the Pennsylvania Supreme Court decided, he put out a memo. And part of this memo read as this. The 5 justices who signed this order that blatantly and clearly contradicts the plain language of the Pennsylvania Constitution engaged in misbehavior in office. Wherefore, each is guilty of an impeachable offense warranting removal from office and disqualification to hold any office or trust or profit under this Commonwealth. I would ask you to please join me in co-sponsoring this legislation.
Impeached? For what? Did they violate the law?
They said that you guys violated the law.
Exactly. How you gonna like do the I'm rubber your glue thing right here?
That's exactly what they did.
Because like, okay, what exactly are they getting impeached on?
I don't know. The justices said that you didn't follow the law here. These congressional district lines are terribly unconstitutional and they must be redrawn. And Dush's response is, okay, all you 5 Democrats, you must be impeached. You should not be allowed to hold office any longer, ever again.
If you can't win, cheat. If you can't cheat, remove judges. That's basically what he's saying.
You could have rhymed. If you is what he said. You said
if you can't win, cheat.
If you can't cheat, impeach. That's what he said.
Bars.
Basically, that's what he said. So he's like, hey, I can't get my way. I'm just going to try to remove you guys from office, man. And they're not even in office. They're just, they're on the court. I mean, they're on the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. So since you people did not do what is going to make the Republicans' job easier, and what that would be is to, just have these lines draw in a way that benefits us, the deep red folks. If we can't do that, then you must be removed.
You're the bad guy.
You're the bad guy.
This is why
we're cheating, but you're the bad guy.
This is why it matters who's in power when the census is conducted, because it's not like you got guys in a room, sitting down trying to figure out how to draw the lines, district lines. All they have to do is get that voter data, plug it in the computer, and the software draws the district lines for them.
There's one district in Florida I saw. I don't know what the number of district is, but it goes pretty much from the southernmost tip to way up north.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. This is what Republicans are doing all across the country to stay in power.
And the thing is, it's not like it's going to be a partisan group or one party group deciding these demarcations. The governor is supposed to work with both parties. They don't even want to do that.
No, because they don't want a fair process, man. They just want to stay in power.
So like, wouldn't any honest person who believes in like fair representation be fine with working with the other party to decide these districts? Like they're working. They have, I guess, the courts have given them actually some leniency.
Yes.
And saying, hey, y'all have this amount of time to do it.
Yes.
Both parties. The governor is supposed to work with Republicans. And they can do it together. They don't even want to do that.
But see, you're talking about fair representation, right?
Right.
Do regular people even believe in fair representation? In
some cases,
or do they just, because look at what both parties do. They demonize each other, right?
Right.
It's a team sports game now, right? Or it has been for years and years and years, decades. So if I'm on team red and my team is doing everything they can to stay in power, do I really care if they're bending the rules a little bit?
Especially if you're on, the right team.
Exactly, man.
Especially if essentially the politicians are basically like both playing the game and they're the refs. You know what I'm saying?
So anyway, like I said, but this is good news though. This is good news, and this will affect the outcome in this year.
If they can kind of nationally do away with gerrymandering, and lobbying, money in politics, reverse Citizens United.
Then we can get some
change kind of primary voting rules. Man,
that's a big if though.
I know that's kind of lofty. That's a loft. I live in a political loft.
But the Republicans, they do own the majority in both houses. But in the Senate, they would have to have 2/3 of the Senate vote for this measure that Dush has put forth to actually impeach these judges.
But they would then have to actually put forth some sort of, I guess, legal showing or legal proof that something illegal took place before they even go with impeachment proceedings, which they're not going to.
It's like I said, man. They apparently this guy just doesn't like the prospects of losing, and he is willing to do anything he can, to protect the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no doubt.
All right. So the U.S. Department of Labor, on December 5th, the U.S. Department of Labor published a rule change to the tip regulations under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Now, they asked for feedback from people to see what they thought about this proposed rule change. And hundreds of thousands of people did respond, and most of them responded negative to this proposed rule change, because what this rule change would do is it would allow restaurants to steal the tips that are given to tip workers. So this phase of the allowing the public to weigh in that ended yesterday on February 5th. So now the government has 60 days or up to 60 days to decide how to proceed. But that's exactly what this is. This is doing for restaurants. Like, this is allowing restaurants to collect the tipped earnings and pocket it for themselves. Now, there are some restaurants that are saying that they are, I guess they lobbied for this kind of change because they want a more fair kind of distribution of the tips. They want to maybe give some of the tip money to like bus boy. No, not the bus boys. To people working in the kitchen.
There's places who already do that though.
Yeah,
but
the tip earnings can't be given to people in the kitchen. They can be given to like the hostesses and the bus boys, but not people in the kitchen. There's this one restaurant owner in Oregon that said, he said, there's 20% of what a business generates we have no ability to impact at all traditionally. He also said that I think all of us see this as a way to reallocate the tips a little bit more fairly to level out the wage inequity. So what he's saying is that there's some low earning people in the kitchen that he wants to, I guess, advocate for. He wants them to be
bullshit.
He wants them to make more money.
Bullshit. I call bullshit because essentially, like, you're pretty much destroying the concept of tipping and what causes people to tip.
Yes.
And what causes people to tip is not just them being, I guess, food being placed on their table. What's causing people to tip and what's causing servers, waitresses, waiters to get tipped is how they engage with their customers, which is solely on them.
Yeah, the efforts of that
person.
Server. Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes. That's solely their efforts.
And guess what? That's a skill.
That is a skill.
That
has nothing to do with management, ownership. That has nothing to do with that. I mean, like, they can be trained, but still,
you're just training like to let them, like, to show them what's on the menu.
Yes.
Show them, like, the around the business.
Yes.
But really, all that stuff, that I guess their personality, I guess I guess their own persona, their own ability to relate and to engage with the customer and the people, the patrons that are there, is something that is. You can't train that.
No.
You can't train that.
When I tip somebody, when I go to a restaurant and I tip somebody, I'm tipping that person. I'm not thinking about management that maybe came by the table and said, how are things going? Is the meal good?
Which most likely doesn't happen.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, but it's rare. But I'm not tipping that manager, that supervisor, that owner. I'm not tipping them.
That mug ain't coming out there busting his ass.
No, I'm tipping the person that is getting my water, that's refilling the water, that's
asking me if I'm okay.
Yeah, asking if I'm okay, making sure we got enough napkins.
And all the while, this person has other customers they're waiting on too.
Yes, that tip should go to that person. Now, this rule change would affect people that are getting the federal minimum wage, not the tipped minimum wage. But still, I don't care because the tip minimum wage is $2.13. Of course, the federal minimum wage is what, $7.50 right now. But I don't care. Like, if a restaurant is saying that they're doing this, like they're lobbying for this change because they're trying to advocate for low earning people in the kitchen, then you know what you should do? You should pay those low earners more money. You shouldn't have the money going to these tip waitresses and tip waiters, going to the people in the kitchen, because they're not part of the reason why the customers are tipping these waitresses and waiters.
See, if the customer
is separate,
like if a customer goes into an establishment knowing that this is the case, they might be reluctant to tip. They might actually be reluctant to go in the restaurant in the first place.
Right.
Like I said, it destroys the concept of tipping.
So, okay, so if a waiter or waitress has no incentive really to go above and beyond and really do a good job in, I guess, adhering to the needs of the customers, then why is the customer going to say, man, you know what? I had a great time. This was great service. Let me tip 20%, 25%. Let me even tip 15%, because I know there's certain times I have not even tipped 15% because the service was so bad.
Yeah.
So if it's just, like I say, if you provide no incentive for these workers, for these tip workers to actually do a good job, because this is their livelihood.
Oh, so you saying it might not just affect the habits of workers, it might affect the habits of customers.
Right.
But as far as affecting the habits of a worker, if I know that my tips are being diverted elsewhere, what incentive do I have to put my best foot forward? You see what I'm saying? If I know my tips are going elsewhere, and is it going to be written in a way that specifies like who these tips are going to? Like, or is it just going to go into kind of like a general bank, and then it's up to the bosses to figure out where is it going to go? Like, is there going to be some sort of safeguards so that bosses aren't hoarding these tips, which is something I think is going to happen. You see what I'm saying? Now,
and see, another aspect of this is that there are reports that the Department of Labor actually intentionally hid data that prove that the effect of this rule change would take billions of dollars away from tip workers over the course of a year. Now, they didn't want this information getting out, so they removed it from the report, from this rule change, at the request of the White House, I believe, or at the approval of the White House. Now, this is what the report is saying. Like I said, it would look really bad if they included that in the report, and it was it was gotten out that, hey, you know, waitresses and waiters, you're actually going to be losing billions of dollars because of this rule change. You know where that money's going to go? All the way up to the top. To the owners.
If somebody the sending slow cooks and dirty tables affect my tip also, as well as bathrooms wait times. But again, all restaurants aren't structured in the same way. You know, there's sometimes bus boys come and get the dirty dishes, but a lot of times the waitress or the server actually takes the dirty dishes back. Yep. A lot of time it's the waiter or the waitress that actually has to clean the table. And like I said, all restaurants don't operate the same way. That's why it's a bit hasty to introduce this legislation as if all restaurants govern their employees the same way and they all have the same duties. And you know what I'm saying? And I do understand the cooks, judging the food. But again, they're not tipped workers. They get paid more. That's the point.
And if they are, again, if these restaurants are saying that there's some low-level earners in the kitchen and, we want to do the right thing by them, then do the damn right thing by them and actually pay them more. You shouldn't be taking money away from the tipped workers to pay them. How about you come up out of your wallet, out of your earnings to bring them up a notch?
It's almost like they want to repatriate somebody else's tips back into the business.
Exactly.
That's basically what's going on.
But see, they don't want to dip into their profits. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to keep their profits exactly where they are. But the tipped earners, well, I think you're making too much money. We're going to take a little bit of that money and give it to the people in the kitchen. Like, how ridiculous is that, man? It's not like these waiters and waitresses are like the top 1%. Like, they're living head and shoulders above everybody else.
And again, you cannot apply some sort of cookie cutter expectations for every restaurant. That's another problem I'm talking about, because the distribution of work and duties is not the same at every restaurant. Restaurants, first of all, are not regulated by the government.
Right.
So the management at the restaurant, or if it's a chain, they already have the system where certain people have to do certain jobs, and so basically that determines how much they get paid. So you can't somehow apply some general rule or some cookie cutter rule to every single restaurant, because they actually might have to kind of restructure or re-tier how they do their business because of it. Like I said, all servers and all waitresses don't have the same responsibilities. Like we were out Sunday, and like the person who takes your order may not be the person who brings your order to the table.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And the person who takes your plate away might be a busboy, or that might be the person who took your order, or that might be the person who brought you your food. So you see what I'm saying? It's not all these restaurants aren't comprised of the same rules, and everybody doesn't have the same duties based on their superficial job title. That's another issue you're running into with this.
But then in some of those restaurants, though, the people that are the serving the food or picking up the food, they are allowed, or they are provided with the opportunity to get some of that tip money in some of these restaurants. What this is about is seemingly about people in the kitchen, which I don't believe at all. If they wanted to bump those workers up a notch in pay, then just do it out of your profits. What this is about is these restaurants raking in more money at the expense of tip workers. So again, we'll see what happens with this. The government has, like I said, up to 60 days to decide how they're going to proceed. Today we learned about a story in Tennessee where a man by the name of Michael Dial was killed by Smithville police in Tennessee. So this was in April 2017, and Michael Dial was leading officers on a slow speed chase. I know you usually hear a high speed chase.
Yeah.
This was a slow speed chase that was in the range of about 30 to 40 miles an hour.
And one of the officers that was being interviewed, I guess because there was an investigation about this situation. He reported, he said the highest it got was 50, but like you said,
and that wasn't sustained. No, for the large majority of this slow speed chase, it was about 30 to 40 miles an hour. So Michael Dial, he was being pursued because he was driving with a suspended license. So it started in DeKalb County, but then it crossed over into White County, and that's where White County officers
took over the chase.
I said White County officers. Yeah, I mean, it is White County. Yeah. It's
hard to say. It's hard to say that any other way.
Yeah, you can't say it any other way. But anyway, so
officers of White County.
Yeah, officers of White County. They took over the chase, the slow speed chase. And so some officers started to ram him with the vehicle. Michael Dial was driving some 1976 pickup truck, and there was like a
trailer, bunch of stuff on it.
There's video footage of this. So they started to ram his truck to try to get him off the road because, I mean, I believe this was like a couple hours of a chase that, like I said, started in another county, a neighboring county. So anyway, they started to ram him, and then that led to shooting at him. So that's what eventually stopped this chase or ended this chase. He was shot at, he was hit in the head, he died, and that's what ended the chase. So the video of this incident was released, or before it was released, the DA, of course, got video of the video from the body cam, from the video from the dash cam. They declined to prosecute. They said that it was a justified shooting. All right. I hadn't heard about this case until, like I said, just today.
Yeah.
So we looked at the video today, and what you can see is that these officers were ramming the vehicle. Then there's audio as well. Audio that I don't believe the officers knew were capturing these officers' words and their discussions. The sheriff that was on the scene, well, he didn't get to the scene until later.
Yeah, he was kind of on he was away, and so he was almost like in communication with those who were
over the radio.
Like those who were first hand involved in the chase. He was just on the way.
He was actually directing their actions. If you hear the audio. So that guy's name is Sheriff Odie Shoop. And so I'm gonna give you a few quotes because we're not gonna play the video. We put the video up on Facebook and of course on it's News Channel 5 Nashville. They have the video up on YouTube as well, and you can see them on their website as well. But these are a couple of quotes that the audio captures Sheriff Shoop saying. I told him, I said, take him out. I said, don't ram him, shoot him. He also said, fuck that shit. Ain't gonna tear up my cars. If they don't think I'll give the damn order to kill that motherfucker, they're full of shit. He said, I love this shit. God, I tell you what, I thrive on it. So
that was from the body cam that was sitting in the back.
Yeah. Well, not all of it.
Not all of it. Well, some of it. Some of it was in the from the audio from the body cam.
Right. Somebody took the body cam
off of them
and put it in the back seat of a cruiser. Yeah, and they didn't know it was there. But some of the audio is from where one of the officers was driving towards, he was following behind.
Basically, there was like on the radio.
Oh yeah, it wasn't the body cam, it was the radio. So you can, he still had audio on his. He still had audio on him. So anyway, you could see that when Sheriff Shoop said, "Don't ram him, shoot him." I said, "Take him out." When he was saying things like that, that's when this officer took out his weapon, and you can see it in his left hand now.
Like
he didn't have it
on the steering wheel.
Right, he didn't have it in his hand before that. But then when Sheriff Shoop was saying that no, take him out, shoot him, don't ram him, that's when he took the gun out. So there were a few officers that actually shot at Michael Dahl, and this officer was one of them. He stepped out of his vehicle and immediately began shooting at him. Now, Michael Dahl was still in his truck. Okay, he was still in his truck. He didn't make any threatening motions. He was still just driving the vehicle. Now, one of the cop cars were able to ram him, and it kind of turned his vehicle. Yeah, kind of T-boned him, and it turned the vehicle. But then after that, Michael Dahl did not get out of the vehicle. He did not point a gun at anybody because he was unarmed. He did not make any threatening motions. They just wanted to end the chase, and they started shooting at him.
And this shot got him in the head.
Yes.
And he died right there. They did not shoot at the wheels or anything like that.
They didn't shoot at the wheels.
They just shot directly.
They shot at him multiple times. This one officer, I believe that this was I don't know if he was the officer that actually got the kill shot, but he was torn. He was actually, there's video of him. He's a little torn up about it. He was like a little bit crying, and Sheriff Shoop came to the scene by that time. He was like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You just did what I told you to do. I took that away from you. So he had to reload his gun because he was shooting at him so many times. And again, he wasn't the only officer that shot at this Michael Dahl. So what I'm wondering is, I know that the district attorney got everything that was released to the viewing public. I'm sure that they got all the videotape, all the audio tape. I'm sure the DA had all of that. How can you call this a justified shoot-in when it seems like the only reason that Michael Dahl was shot was to stop the chase and to preserve damage to the patrol cars?
Yeah, because all of
or not preserve damage, but to eliminate damage to the patrol cars.
Yeah, so like, I guess if you look at what he's a sheriff.
He's a sheriff.
He's a sheriff. So if you look at everything the sheriff said, like, I guess while the situation was going on and afterwards, that does add kind of context to the situation. It adds context to the chase and I guess the guy's death, the suspect's death. And I think it needs to be mentioned. I think was the only thing that I guess it was on record for him. He was like driving with a suspended
license. That's where they were going after him for.
So he didn't really have a violent past. He he may have been a danger on the road, and if you think about it, most likely shooting someone in a moving car poses more of a danger.
It does,
right?
It does.
One other thing, like that's probably something that's like probably the most notable thing, kind of get inside the mind of this sheriff. He said that he thrives on this stuff, right? So basically he likes the excitement. So that tells me it's not really about enforcing the law, but like about action.
Yes.
Like he's playing cops and robbers.
Yes, like
you know what I'm saying? Like this is a movie
actor
or something.
Yes. It's not about being a public servant. It's not about doing what the community needs you to do, serve and protect. No. Again, like you said, it's like he's a movie actor and he just thrives on the action of it. And if that comes to killing somebody, well then, hey, I thrive on that, man. I live for this shit.
Yeah. So, Ken, if he thrives on this stuff, what are the chances that he seeks to diffuse situations or de-escalate situations when they present themselves? What are the chances? He already pretty much
he escalated this to murder, man.
Exactly. Again, so what are the chances when he gets in situations like that he's going to de-escalate something? He already says he lives for this. He already says he lives for this.
Do you remember, was it 1994? The famous O.J. Simpson chase? Was that 94?
It was 95. I remember.
Was it 95?
I
know we were. I remember in high school.
I think I was.
Well,
I was 15. It happened when I was 15. I remember because I was at the mall. What, dog? I can't be at the mall.
No, I was watching the Knicks game. I remember it was in playoff time, and they cut it up. They cut to it.
It was me and Raymond Robinson.
Yeah, I remember I was watching the Knicks game.
Me and Raymond Robinson and his brother came and got us from the mall and took us home.
Yeah,
that was when we were 15 because I remember we were in 10th grade.
So
it was 95.
All right, so I remember that chase lasting for a minute. Quite a long time, right?
It was
a long chase, right?
Chase. It was more like a motorcade.
It was like a motorcade. They kept the
funeral procession.
Yeah, they kind of kept the distance, and they just had a helicopter following them. The officers following them. Now, I don't remember any shots that rang out. Now, what was O.J. Simpson accused of?
Murder. Double murder.
He was being looked at for double murder. This guy, Michael Dahl, was being looked at for driving with a suspended license.
And most likely because of that trailer too, because it wasn't nighttime, but it did look like it was severely overloaded and probably potentially hazardous and dropping things off. So they probably wanted to pull him over for that. But then he knew he had a suspended license, and he was like, oh crap, I might have to, go to jail.
Yeah. Now I'm sure that there would be many people that would be ecstatic with the prospect of O.J. Simpson being gunned down by police officers.
Yeah.
Because they believe that he was guilty of double murder.
That's murder, though.
But still, it would have been murder by the cops. That's why it didn't happen. So how is the DA looking at this case, and the DA is actually trying to serve the interest of justice? Because this guy, he had a wife. He had a wife, and the wife now is suing. Is suing because she feels like his rights, were
basically like the way the cops engaged the situation seemed above the threat level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There were actually at the time of the shooting, there were actually no other cars on the road.
Wow.
They just wanted to get him out. And of course, like I said, according to the sheriff's own words, don't ram him, shoot him.
And obviously, based on like the reaction of the cops he was giving direction to, I mean, actually, even outside of that, but outside of the situation and inside of the situation, it's no doubt that sheriffs, and this particular sheriff, just sheriffs in general, kind of dictate the environment of a department. You know what I'm saying? And just by the looks of the footage, dictated how the officers engaged in that situation.
Yeah.
So, like, and this is a sheriff.
This is a sheriff.
And again, so not only do we have a problem with the sheriff, we have a problem with the prosecutors. Do we not? And we always talk about how it's from top to bottom.
Yeah, it's not just that one level, man. It's not that we can just criticize the actions of officers, and in this case, like the sheriffs, because before the sheriff said what he said about don't ram him, shoot him, that officer did not have a gun in his hand. So it seems like this officer was just like, okay, well, my job is to shoot this guy now, because as soon as he got out of the vehicle, he shot him. He didn't wait for Michael Dahl to do anything threatening. He just shot him. So it's not just about the police officers. It's also about that district attorney as well, that it seems like all they're wanting to do is protect the police officers. Protect
the police officer, protect the sheriff. Yeah. And if you think about it, like, in this case with the officers who end up shooting the guy, I honestly kind of have to fall back a little bit, because especially with them, yes, okay, they are to blame, whatever, but I think, like, I guess the bulk of the responsibility goes on the sheriff, because those officers, their adrenaline is pumping. Right. They're in a situation where they're chasing somebody. Obviously, at some point, they have their heads on straight about how they want to rectify this. None of them have their guns out. They didn't get their guns out and, I guess, seek that kind of tactic until the sheriff intervened. Yep. So, honestly, I would like take them off the hook, because all their adrenaline is pumping, and he's like saying, shoot him, do this, and it's like they have kind of this instinct to just follow orders.
He's inciting violence.
He's inciting them. So I was like, I kind of gotta give him a little leeway. I kind of gotta give those officers a little leeway in this situation, because they're being incited by someone who is above them, so they're superior.
Like, we say it all the time, we understand that a police officer's job is very difficult. We understand that. But allowing this kind of behavior to keep happening all across the country is unacceptable. We can't excuse the actions of officers when they violate our rights, when they abuse their authority. We just can't allow it. We can't allow them to do it, and then we can't allow the DA to protect them when they do it. It's a whole system of abuse.
And in this case, who was it that was making those officers' job a lot harder?
It was the sheriff.
It was the sheriff, not us.
Well, I didn't see any violence until they decided to shoot at him. Now, they were trying to stop him, and if they're using their car to like ram him, because again, this was like a 30 to 40 mile an hour speed chase. If they're trying to ram him and try and get him off the road, okay, we got no problem with that. This guy shouldn't have been running. He shouldn't have been driving with a suspended license. So yeah, you got to get him. We have absolutely no problem with that. But when you act as the judge, jury, and the executioner, then you went too far.
Yeah, no, it's like stay in your lane. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, stay in your lane. They understand coming into their job that there's a system of justice that's supposed to take place. So they understand that it's not their job to, like you said, be the judge, jury, and executioner.
Right. You have
their job,
one arm of responsibility.
Their judges to kind of, I guess, engage a situation.
Yeah. Apprehend the criminal.
The person.
Yes.
And then the system of justice starts. They are not the end. Right. They're not the beginning and the end.
You allow the judicial process to proceed. You do not execute a man when he is not a threat. You do not stop a man with bullets because he is leading you on a slow speed chase. Anyway, so yeah, we mentioned about the House and about Capitol Hill's sexual harassment policy.
Was that about a couple weeks ago?
It was maybe about a month ago or so. We talked about that. But yeah, it's a very extensive process that we talked about. That really it's a months-long process. Mediation, mandatory counseling. All the while that you have to still stay in the situation with the person that has abused you or sexually harassed you, like nothing's changed.
It's basically a system that's designed to push any improprieties under the rug and keep these
firmly under the rug, man. Firmly under the rug,
and keep these men in power.
Right, and then if you do come to a settlement agreement, then you have to sign a non-disclosure form. It doesn't get released to the public. Nobody knows about it. It's paid. The settlement is paid for with tax dollars.
Zero transparency,
basically. So yeah, so they're changing a few of these things. So the bill passed the House on Tuesday today, and it's going to ensure that the mediation and counselor are no longer mandatory, which is good. Also is going to provide staffers with access to an advocate providing legal advice and representation. So also, if there is a settlement, it would no longer be on the taxpayer's dime. Whoever is guilty of said abuse would have to reimburse that whatever fee that is paid out to the person that's claiming abuse.
I like that provision.
Yeah.
I would add something else. I would say that not just it would have to come out of their pocket. I would get a list of all their donors.
Oh.
And say there's a certain amount of money that has to come out of their pocket for a lifetime. For a lifetime.
Yeah.
Or at least for a certain amount of time. But yeah, just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? From their donors.
They have to reimburse the taxpayers within 90 days of this settlement. And also they're going to be barred from their office paying the cost. So, you know, any donor money or anything like that, sorry, you can't use that. You can't use that.
Shoot, I wouldn't. I would say, yeah. I would say anybody is donor money is going to be funneled to that person for a settlement. Right. Maybe that might affect like them getting donations.
Oh yeah.
So the re-election will be more difficult.
I get you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah, donors wouldn't.
And
like
honestly,
that.
I think they should. Honestly, I think they should be barred from serving until they pay.
Yeah,
serving period,
like suspension, or something
like they're on like administrative leave, no pay.
Also, the Office of Compliance, which handles these cases, they are going to be required to publish reports online every 6 months, detailing these settlements. So it's going to be
this is just transparency. The ones going forward.
Yes.
Honestly, again, I want that transparency list.
Yeah.
To be retroactive too.
Yeah.
Monks who have past settlements and have past dealings, not just ones from now on.
Going forward.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because if we're going to truly make this like a transparent process, like
we need to know the history.
We need to know the history.
Yeah,
we need to have
the history of these politicians.
Yeah, they need to come clean.
Yeah. There's no word of that. That would have been a good measure to put into this bill, but there's no word of that. But like I said, this is
a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction. It does seem to be vastly better than what the process was before. And like I said, it was a very exhaustive, very ridiculous process that they had.
It was basically designed
that came forward
to favor the perpetrator and not the victim.
And suppress any claims of impropriety, any claims of abuse, man. Just like you said, sweep that right on in, you know, under the rug, and we don't have to talk about this anymore. So that's, you know, that's somewhat good news. So I'm glad to hear that. Do we have anything else?
Did we talk about the Trump thing?
Oh yeah, let's talk. We can do that for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is not going to take very long.
No, it's not. Let's put these on.
Because we'll be taking calls in a few minutes.
Yeah. All right, yeah, because we have a video to show. Some people probably have seen this video. This is about Trump. He was, I don't know what city he was in, but he was talking about tax reform. And he kind of veered from that script, and he wanted to talk about the State of the Union address and how, I guess he wanted to admonish the fact that Democrats weren't standing. He was lamenting the fact that he was speaking about good things. Specifically, he brought up the point where he referenced the historical low black unemployment rate and how Republicans that were in attendance were clapping, going crazy. Said, "Oh, it's going crazy," but the Democrats were not. They did not clap, and he was lamenting that fact. Like, hey, like, you know,
what's up with that?
What's up with that? You know. So we have a little clip of that if you haven't seen it. Let's set this up first. Let's see. I don't think we're gonna be able to. Okay, so, all right, this is gonna be. All right. Make sure everything is fine here. All right, and see, this is the video here.
And it got to a point where I really didn't even want to look too much during the speech over to that side, because honestly, it was bad energy. No, it was bad energy. You're up there. You've got half the room going totally crazy, wild. They loved everything. They want to do something great for our country. And you have the other side, even on positive news, really positive news like that, they were like death and un-American. Un-American. Somebody said treasonous. I mean, yeah, I guess why not? Can we call that treason? Why not? I mean, they certainly didn't seem to love our country very much.
All right. So that's our president, Donald Trump. So, of course, a lot of people had a problem with him using the word treasonous as it relates to people sitting down and not clapping for a man, or for a man that says something that maybe they don't agree with. He's saying that, look, I'm rattling off numbers. I'm talking about things that are very good. All right. Black Americans have a historically low unemployment rate. We all should be happy about that. We all should be clapping. So why aren't you clapping? You are treasonous. You are un-American.
See, okay. Like, honestly, like, I have no problem with his being disappointed about not getting credit, like, for something he feels he did. Like, the disappointment is not the issue. That's not surprising. But then when you kind of traverse into this kind of authoritarian speak, yes, where you equate yourself with America, like Trump equals America, you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like
he's saying that
you didn't get up and clap for me. That must
you're
be
un-American.
But he said you don't. He basically, you're not standing for America. So essentially, they didn't get up and clap for him, so they weren't clapping for America, and specifically, they weren't clapping for black people.
Yes.
Not standing up for.
I've seen a lot of excuses by people that support Donald Trump now, and they're saying that, oh, this was surely said in jest. He was joking when he said this. Now, if that is the case, I really don't care, because see, he's the president of the United States. If he is saying that something is treasonous, do you not believe that his followers are not going to follow him on that path and equate their actions with treason,
or equate any a disagreement with treason.
Yes,
because that's kind of where this path is leading down.
He has made himself America,
and it's like by disagreeing with him, you are automatically in disagreement with, America, or you're committing treason.
Exactly.
But I mean, like, and also I think it's kind of irresponsible because it linked to a specific issue. It linked to like black unemployment.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Specifically black unemployment. And yeah, there were Democrats that stood up and clapped in some portions, but there were a lot of Democrats, including the Congressional Black Caucus, that remained seated, arms folded, playing Candy Crush or whatever they were doing, and just like wasn't giving him any play at all.
Right.
And I don't think it was just Democrats that he was kind of trying to throw shade at there. He was throwing shade at the Congressional Black Caucus too.
Right.
But regardless of that, like, why are people kind of supposed to ignore everything else? Kind of everything else that he's done, and kind of all of his other policies that he's supported, and kind of his attitude and how he's conducted himself, and how he is kind of put on display who he is in regard to like how he sees the world and his worldview. We're supposed to ignore all of that for some sort of slight flux in numbers. like we can go down the list. Isn't he the same person? Because we're talking about black things here, right? Specifically, he's done good for the black people. He was dismissive of NFL players who were kneeling because of police brutality that disproportionately affected who?
Black people.
Black people. When he remember that speech he was given, and there were like all these law enforcement, and it was basically in front of law enforcement. I forgot, was that during the election or after?
I can't remember.
But
I think it was back before.
But he pretty much explicitly stated that cops should use more force when dealing with suspects, like ramming their head like on the car roof. He explicitly said that.
And that would disproportionately affect black people, since we know
he still thinks
disproportionately go after black people.
Yeah, he thinks the Central Park 5 are still guilty.
Yep. Took out pages, ads, like 2 or 3 page ads. Yeah.
He reposted a fake crime statistic, racist fake crime statistics. He reposted from a white supremacist Twitter account. He pulled funding from a white supremacist reform group. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, but somehow a slight flux in unemployment rate is supposed to impress me, supposed to impress us, it's supposed to impress everybody.
Yeah, a trend that is just continuing because it has been started under the former President Obama. The trend of a fall in black unemployment rate is continuing under President Trump, but not at the same trajectory, if you want to say it, like not the same rate, because we saw more gains under President Obama. So what he wants congratulations for is just a continuing trend. Now, like we said, I think we're glad that the trend is continuing, but is that enough for me to do this for somebody that obviously has a negative opinion of black people based on other things that he has said or done?
That's funny, because I just thought it was hilarious that he mentioned something about bad energy.
He
as if his entire career and persona isn't based.
He said something about
debasing people and basically insulting people.
He said he didn't want to look over at the Democrats because it was just bad energy.
It was bad energy. It was bad energy.
Basically, what I hear, like I said, and I'm not taking it as a joke. I'm not taking it as a joke. People, that I guess have spent time around him. His son Scaramucci are saying that no audio. Oh my bad. Ooh, audio went away. Hello. I wonder when the audio went away.
Yeah. Can anybody tell us when the audio went away? Lori Reynolds says we don't have any audio, so
Somebody's heard Scaramouche. I said Scaramouche.
You did?
All right. Okay. So the audio's there. All right. What was I saying? I'm thinking, lose me with the idea that this was a joke by Donald Trump, because again, Scaramucci is saying that this was a joke. I believe his son is saying it's a joke. When the president of the United States, somebody that has a record, which you have outlined, has a negative record as it relates to black people and his opinions of the black community,
and just people in general.
Yeah, I'm not taking his words as a joke, especially when I know his supporters aren't going to take it as a joke as well. So why should I take it as a joke when his supporters are going to be like, "Yup, that is treasonous. They are un-American. Your words have meaning."
So basically, the voter base, and the voting base is what actually matters as far as, like, you know, who chooses leadership in the country.
Right.
But like, I think I brought this up, like, I don't know if it was the last live show, but I always think it's very interesting when a member of the dominant society wants to point out something that they have done for some disenfranchised groups, specifically blac people, right? And say, look what I've done for you. Look what I've done for them. Yeah. But it's like, if it has something, I guess, that negatively reflects on the dominant culture and the activists and those who want to highlight certain, I guess, societal standards that disenfranchise black people, when those things are brought up, that's considered identity politics. So when there's certain things that people perceive affect black people disproportionately, that's called identity politics when it's brought up. But when a member of the dominant group wants to highlight something specifically that's good, that's not considered identity politics. I don't understand that. Isn't that the same? You see what I'm saying? Because they don't like certain groups to be pointed out and specified for anything, right? That's identity politics, unless it's something that they perceive that, you know, they've done that's good and we should value them for. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. Like I said, his words have meanings, man. Whether he was joking or not, his words have meaning, and they have effects as well. He is the president of the United States. Not everybody is close to Donald Trump. Not everybody is coming away with the opinion that he was joking. No, they're coming away with the opinion that the supposed leader of the country believes that people like the Democrats, especially people like the Democrats and probably black people that don't appreciate
ungrateful.
They're ungrateful, they're un-American, they're unpatriotic, they're treasonous.
Oh, wait a second. Didn't we talk about this the last live show? About how Trump said his approach was going to be to do what? To unite people.
Unify, heal the nation.
Heal the nation and unify.
That's correct.
So how in the world was that an illustration of that? How was that speech an illustration of that? These people over here are un-American. These people are treasonous. They didn't stand up for me. They disagree with me. Therefore, they're un-American, which equates to they hate you too.
Yup. Again, like I said, his words have meanings. So we're going to open this up for call-in. Number is 646-876-9223. If you have a comment, if you have something you'd like to ask, please do so. Call in and be a part of the show. I believe I saw Jay earlier. Jay wanted to call in because he said he figured out why Dodge put that ad out. So obviously he has an opinion, or maybe something that he learned why Dodge would do something like that. So if you'd like to share that, please call in, Jay. Yeah.
Yes, Miss Tree One. I don't think it's I wouldn't say it's not nice. I would just say it's a bit misguided, because there's no such thing as white people. It's just a kind of a social construct,
right? Color
codes that, you know, people bought into. So I wouldn't say it's not nice. I just say it's a little bit misguided, but it's understandable. That's just kind of what we have to work with. We have to work with the consequences of what the world kind of has fed people. So, I mean, it's understandable. That's not kind of how I roll, but, you know.
Yeah,
we do have a caller.
We got a caller now?
Yep.
Okay, I just looked down. All right, we got a caller. Let's put them through. Caller, you're on the phone with LTMB Live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I figured it out. This is
This must be Jay.
Can they hear me in the chat room? I know you guys.
I believe they can. We're seeing your audio come through, so I believe they are able to hear you. Let's get confirmation of that. Yep. They can hear you.
Yeah, he knows what it is. He wants to check. That's what's up.
It's so ironic and I was watching the chat and people were talking about Alex Jones. So I don't know if I have my tinfoil hat on right now. Because I was actually I know you guys opened up with talking about the MLK commercial, and I was watching the commercial because I thought that little snippet of the speech was powerful. If you don't watch the commercial and you just listen to the words, it's powerful. So I actually watched the original speech, and it's on YouTube. If people want to see it, you just type in MLK February 4th speech, and it'll come up right away. But so back to my tinfoil hat. Let me ask you guys, what do you remember about the Charlottesville protest?
I mean, we remember Heather Heyer dying, of course.
We remember certain
tiki torches.
The tiki torches. We remember elements of those who were, I guess, we would call supporters of the Confederacy and friends of the Confederacy, and those who believe that that's a part of their heritage. We remember those people kind of getting away with a lot of stuff, like actually shooting off guns and without being.
What do you remember about Heather Heyer in the car driving down the street?
Oh, I remember. I remember they were saying that that car was running from members of Antifa.
Well, what do you remember about the car? What kind
of
car was it?
Yeah, Dodge. It was a Dodge, and there was some sort of a commercial or some sort of promotion for some event, and they called the event. What was the event called? Since you are bringing this up, I do remember. What was the event called? It was called Road Burn or something.
So let me ask you, if that car that we saw all over CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, and now it's still on the internet, if that car wasn't a Dodge, it was a Charger. It was a Dodge Charger. I remember it was gray with a black stripe down the road. If that wasn't a Dodge Charger, do you think they would have made their commercial?
It's hard to say.
No. You know what? No, you no. Yeah.
Here's where the tinfoil hat comes in. Were they trolling us?
I don't
Dodge car commercial and calling it the Dodge Ram.
I don't want to necessarily say. I think you're onto something. I don't necessarily want to say they're trolling us, but you do bring up a good point in that people do kind of. There's certain. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's certain things that do stick in people's heads. I guess when it comes to certain events, even if those certain things or elements don't have anything to do with the motive. And like you said, it was a Dodge Charger. Dodge knows this. Dodge knows that, number one, there was a conspiracy theory that was connected to it. I can't remember the exact name of this event. It was called Road Splatter or something like some crazy name to an event that people were pointing to that showed that there was some sort of I guess deep state or conspiratorial involvement with some larger force that got this guy to do this. But again, a Dodge vehicle was involved in this. So sometimes people keep stuff in mind even though it had nothing to do with Dodge. So it wouldn't surprise me if Dodge was trying to recoup a little bit.
Yeah, even if it was subconscious, everybody saw that multiple times. I had to think about it for a second, and I remember I was like, let me just pull up the footage and pull it, and it was. I mean, it's a Dodge Charger. And the trolling part is definitely Alex Jones tinfoil, but again, I'd be willing to bet all the money I had on my bank account, if that wasn't a Dodge Charger that killed Heather Heyer, that commercial wouldn't have been made with the added layer of MLK.
For me, it's too far. For me, it's too far, man.
We'll see, but again,
it's too far.
But who are we talking about though? We're talking about billion-dollar corporations that worry about their image, and they don't forget anything.
Like I said, if you draw that line, it's not like it's unfathomable, but like I said, it's
I downgrade. I don't know about Will, but I don't know about Will. We obviously ain't seen. But I'll downgrade. I will downgrade your tinfoil hat to tinfoil earrings. I won't give you the hat, or maybe like, you know what I'm saying, tinfoil glasses, tinfoil sunglasses. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying, a tinfoil Dakota ring.
Yeah.
I'm canceling my Patreon.
Oh,
appreciate that, Jay, though, man.
Like,
hey, at least it makes sense, though.
It actually makes sense. See what I'm saying?
It makes sense.
At least you put something out there that actually makes sense, and I can connect dots. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah. You know. All right, appreciate that, Jay.
Yep.
All right, little bit of conspiracy theory for the night.
Conspiracy comedy, like that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of comedy. Yeah. I mean, like I said, how is one to know, what some huge corporation, the
but
motives
see, with them,
of
I think
actions,
the whole thing is anything's possible with them. That's the thing. True.
Yeah. I mean, this is a grand event to spread some kind of message like that. I don't know. It's possible. Anybody else have anything to say? Maybe anybody has anything to say.
Mo's gonna be scared to call in now because they ain't gonna be able to top that.
Anybody have any thoughts of the GOP memo that came out? Maybe anything about the sheriff that orchestrated the murder of Michael Dial?
Any female viewers have anything to say about the new kind of sexual harassment?
Yeah, the process for Capitol Hill.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we talked about. The gerrymandering. Yeah, we talked about a lot of important things. I saw right before I came on. Well, right before we came on, I saw something about Trump wanting a military, like a French style military parade. He's like talking to the Pentagon about that, like some like grand event like that he wants. I didn't hear a lot about it, but I was like, okay, I don't know what that's about. Yeah, well, it's easy to know what it's about. It's about drumming up patriotism and support for the military, of course. He wants him to tie himself firmly to that so he can get more support, of course. He wants to be the law and order, the patriotic president, But I think with that kind of I think like that kind of style parade, like I said, it's like a big style event, and and we're talking about like tanks and stuff like that, stuff that like certain roads may not be able to handle. Yeah. So I don't know how far this is gonna go, but I think it's a ridiculous way to spend money. I mean, what the hell, whatever.
Well, obviously, who we talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. I understand that. Anybody have any questions or comments? You can put them in the comment section, or you can call that number 646-876-9223. Because we're gonna get out of here in just a few minutes.
Yeah,
if nobody wants to,
we're gonna shut it down and head over to the Zuckerberg.
Yeah, because we don't want this going 3 hours anymore. Because I think that's a little bit too long for this show, or for any show really. 3 hours is pushing it. that's if we could keep it at a succinct 2 hour 15, something like that, I think that would be the sweet spot there. If we were going every day, it'd probably be like an hour.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd be an hour because it wouldn't be as much.
Every day, something like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come to think of it, an hour and a half, that might be a little bit easier to do every day.
It's true. Yeah. I agree. All right. I don't see any calls. I don't see any. What's going on, Lori? I see Lori in here. Shout out to Aaron and Ray Clues.
Of course, of course.
Miss Tree.
Aaron up in here. June. Grandma Christine.
June, can't forget about June.
Nothing as it seems.
Jake's like, was my theory that crazy? I'm not. Yeah, it wasn't crazy. I'm like I said, I'm not subscribing to it. I'm not subscribing to it. But it's not crazy. It's definitely not crazy because again, when you're thinking about an event that was as publicized as that, like, you know, everybody can remember that Dodge Charger, screeching down the road, and that leading to, you know, I mean, like, how many people were hit? Like 19, I think 19, 20 people that were injured, had their lost their life because of that. And it was clearly a Dodge. So of course, you know, when an event like that happens, you know, your company's name is going to be in the middle of it. That doesn't mean that your company is, you know, advocating or supportive of what happened there, but it's just a bad look. So I don't put it past, you know, these corporations to put themselves in a better limelight, especially in an event like the Super Bowl.
Hey, yo.
So,
hey, Jay.
I don't know.
You see him backtracking, right?
I ain't backtracking,
You see him backtracking, right?
I ain't backtracking.
That sounded like a back track. This mother moonwalking.
I am not back.
Jay,
all I'm saying is,
yo, you saw that, right? You saw that, right?
No,
he said I wouldn't put it past.
All I'm saying, all I'm saying is that I said to Jay, it's not crazy. I told him it's not crazy. I'm not subscribing to it, but it's not crazy. At least, you know, you can put those theoretical lines in place and, you know, draw it to Dodge, maybe, possibly.
So that sounds like a Nunez backtrack, though. That sounds like a
no.
I never seen spear in the eye in the chat before. This is the first time I recognized that. Spear in the eye.
Spear in the eye. Okay.
What is that? The send in.
Yeah.
The send in. The send in.
A lot of people say, yeah, the audio didn't go out, but then I believe it was Lori that said there was no audio. So I don't know what happened there.
Of course, Jim is in here. I saw him chatting. Bram. Frosted Ambassador. Isn't that the mug that always shows up late?
I believe so.
But look here. I see some
like
comments up at the top.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's what's up.
Prompt. Larry, of course. Jonathan Melton. I haven't seen that one in here. That username.
All right, well, I think we are going to call this a show.
Of course, Diesel can't go without mentioning.
Yeah, no doubt. I think we're going to call this a show.
Yeah.
Get on to Facebook for a little while and speak with them over there. If you have the time, you can definitely join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Let the Madness Begin. Shout out to all of our patrons that support us financially. We appreciate that support immensely. I say that all the time. You make this possible. You make the upgrades possible. So what we're trying to do is just expand, keep expanding, keep growing, broaden our reach. And, hopefully we get some more viewers, more callers every night. Hopefully we can increase the amount of days that we do this. It's a process, and we're going to have some more, some promotion in the future.
Tay Ray.
Soon future.
Forgot Tay Ray. I didn't see him in here. He's been
Pedro, what's up, man?
He's been kind of not as talkative as he usually is, but good thing he's glad he's in the house tonight.
Me a couple commercial.
Wow, that's funny.
I ain't backtracking. I'm not backtracking.
See why you trying so hard, Jay?
Nah, because you try to put me on blast. I'm backtracking.
No, you put yourself on blast, dog.
I'm just saying. I told Jay it makes sense, but I ain't I ain't going there.
You doing too much explaining, dog.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling.
Talking too much. Dog.
I'm just filling in the time. I don't want there to be empty silence. You know what I'm saying? I'm just filling in the gaps, man.
Sound like Trump at a mullet interview, dog. Oh, what is that?
All right, so we're going to get out of here. We appreciate everybody that joined us for this evening, February 6th. We'll be back on Thursday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope that you'll be able to join us. So we're going to get out of here, man. Let the madness begin. We'll see you Thursday.